Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're now listening to the Championship on the Line podcast. I am Alex,
And I'm Richard.
and we have a special episode of Lucha Talk. We have a guest today. He is a professional wrestler. You might seen him on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. We have Jack Cartwheel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Jack, for being on.
Of course, yeah, I'm glad to be here.
So, the first time I saw you wrestle on TV, or the first time I ever heard of you, was when you had your match with Clark Connors, and that was
Okay,
like,
awesome.
yeah, man, I became a fan right after that match because I was like, whoa, the things you were doing, especially with your gymnastics background, how you use that in wrestling, that's so like unique because you don't really see a lot of wrestlers with like a gymnastics background. So like for you to elevate that to your wrestling is really cool.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I tried to make it original. I tried to look at things that you don't usually see in professional wrestling and tried to incorporate that into my arsenal of moves.
Yeah, I mean it's really cool. And then and the Connors match, that was your debut, right, on Championships from Hollywood?
Yeah, yeah. So that was my debut on that show. But the interesting thing is, I wasn't even really supposed to be there that day. I kind of one of my training partners, Traps Wellington, and a couple other wrestlers that I knew told me about the tapings that were going on. And so I messaged around and asked if it was okay if I could come. And it turned out that that was the same time that there were some really bad fires going on in the Bay Area, or I think in the Bay Area, Sacramento, stuff like that. And someone wasn't able to make it, the person who was supposed to wrestle Clark Connor. So I actually got that opportunity without even being supposed to be there that day.
Wow, that's pretty cool actually. That's pretty cool. And then
Thank you. Yeah,
you brought in your gear, so you're already ready to go. That's a professional right there.
absolutely. Yeah, always bringing my gear everywhere I go.
But before we get to talk about more of that, I want to talk about the beginning of your wrestling career. So how did you uh, um what made you want to get into professional wrestling?
Um, I'm not even sure, to be honest. It changes all the time. I'm not exactly sure what triggered it exactly. I know that there was. Do you know Gary Vaynerchuk, the like influencer?
No.
Uh, um, there was a thing that he said, and he said something like, "Don't chase money or fame. Try to chase a feeling." Right. So then later that day, it was actually WrestleMania, and my friends, we were all around the TV, we were all watching, and someone said like, "Oh, that must be like the coolest feeling in the world." And I was like, you know what? I'm sure that would be. So I'm gonna start trying to do this, and it was that mixed with some other factors. I was also doing competitive gymnastics at the time, but then I hurt my back kind of bad, so I had to quit that, or else it would have continued to be hurt. So once I wasn't doing gymnastics, I kind of had a lot of free time on my hands after football season, my senior year of high school. So then that's when I decided to start pursuing it.
And then also, like, were you a fan growing up as a kid? And if you were, like, who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
Yeah, that's interesting also, because I actually wasn't. I didn't really follow wrestling until I was probably like 15 or 16. Like, which is pretty late. Like, I watched for a little bit back in 2012, only for like a couple months, and then I stopped for a while. But yeah, it was weird. I wasn't really that into it as a kid. I think I went to a show, but my dad took me to a Raw, but I don't really remember it very well. So yeah, I didn't really watch it that much growing up, but once I got into it, now I'm going back and watching all the things that I could have been watching while growing up.
No, that's very interesting. Most, wrestlers are always saying, "Oh, when I was a kid growing up, collecting action figures or watching Hulk Hogan back in the '80s." And in your point, it was a little later in your age, but what you were attracted to was WrestleMania. You wanted that feeling. You wanted to perform in front of a crowd, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, like of course I once I started watching at 15, 16, I loved watching it. Like I would look forward to it every day, but it was just interesting that happened so late for me.
Yes.
Yeah. But for wrestlers that I liked when I first started watching, I guess in like 2012, and still now probably one of my favorite wrestlers was Dolph Ziggler.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was just which is not very common. I feel like for professional wrestlers, everyone usually hear like Bret Hart, Ric Flair, you know, classic.
Shawn Michaels, yeah.
The Rock or something like that.
Yeah, the basic like Undertaker, you know, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dolph Ziggler just stood out, you know. It just seemed like while watching him work, you're like watching him work, you know. He has a way of like grasping your attention, you know. Like when you watch him wrestle, there's not a lot of other things that you could be thinking about.
Yeah, exactly. He puts so much emotion and drama into his matches. You know, he makes them look so realistic.
Exactly.
Very underrated, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, out of all the wrestlers now, there's somewhere that kind of influence you now, like a style you want to try to emulate, or?
Yeah, like I love Pac. I've watched a lot of Pac matches and Kota Ibushi,
Nice.
Will Ospreay. You know, trying to take a little bit from here, a little bit from there. Chad Gable also, love Chad Gable. So trying to just take little snippets from there and make a whole new pie. You know, you take like a slice of apple pie, slice of raspberry, slice of blueberry, make your own pie.
Exactly, and then you create it to your style. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
And then with wrestling, what are your goals right now? Like, what companies do you want to work for in the future?
There's when I think about this question, it's very interesting because right now there's so many amazing places to work. Like all of these would be dreams, like ROH, AEW, WWE, NJPW, All Japan, you know, like Impact. They're all great and they're all dreams, but I wouldn't be able to like pinpoint a certain company over another one. But what I would say is a goal of mine is I want to be at a certain point where I can walk across the street, and if a little kid like sees me and recognizes me, I would be able to make their day just by like saying hi to them. That's the goal for me. That's what I want to try to achieve. It's not like a tangible thing that I want this type of belt or I want to be at this company. It's more like I want the influence to make a kid's day just by saying hi to them.
That's really cool. Like that's really nice to hear, because usually ask wrestlers to be like, oh, it's their motivation is money or to wrestle in a big company. Like that's pretty much it. But for you to say that's really cool. That's awesome.
Thank you. I mean, like there that's definitely perks too. Like, you know, being able to make money doing something that you love, or being able to travel the world, like wrestling. Those are also dreams, you know, goals. But I think at the real core of it, when I try to think of why I want to be successful at this, is because I want to be able to have that influence to show so that it's more than just like me, you know. If there's something deeper down in there, you have more drive, you know.
No, that's amazing, and it's true. A lot of people don't think about it. You're in that kid's childhood for that second, and you giving him the time of day, he'll never forget it. Even us as fans growing up, we'll remember our local stars or even bigger stars now that we're in our 20s. You know, it will always stay in, you know, the back of our mind, which is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there was, I think it was like the first time that a kid came up to me and he was like, hey, like, you're my hero. And I was like, sheesh, like, these wrestlers, like, we have influence, and we need to do good with it instead of doing like bad, you know. But I mean, of course, that's with whoever the character is. I mean, if you're a bad wrestler, as in if you're like a heel wrestler, you're probably gonna react to the kid saying that differently, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like I always feel like wrestlers have such a responsibility, not just with the wrestlers, but also with the fans, and it's always to set a good example for the kids. And I feel like what you've just said right now, it's, you know, it's exactly what it is. You know, you're a superhero to these kids and to the fans out there. So
Yeah,
it's really
there's which I find interesting. I meant to look at a video at some point, but I don't think I did. But it was like MJF being like mean to a fan.
Yeah.
He's a bad guy, right? But it's funny because, you know, if you were in that position, I don't know what I would do, because of course it's a little kid coming to talk to you, and like you're not sure if you should be in character or not, you know?
Yeah, and exactly. It's so, like, I applaud it that he doesn't break character, but then again, you know, at this era, kayfabe was kind of, you know, long gone from like the 60s and 70s. Even back in the 80s, you know, Vince McMahon was still trying to keep it alive with Undertaker going Good Morning America with his whole gimmick on. And which is cool, but, you know, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, you'd actually be surprised the amount of people who are confused when I explain what I do. Because I would say, like, oh, yeah, like, I do pro wrestling. They're like, oh, cool, like in the Olympics? And I'm like, no, not exactly, like WWE, like, type stuff. You know, that's how I would usually explain it, because that's how most people know it. And the amount of people that don't know that it's script, or, like, I guess some people know that the finish is predetermined, but to the extent of what people know is planned before is totally different most of the time. You know, like, some people think, oh yeah, it's planned before, or like they know who's winning, but that's all that they know. You know, or oh no, it's planned A through Z. You know, so that part of kayfabe, I believe, is still alive in a way, because people would think that, oh, you know, the winner, and that's about it, you know.
No, exactly, yeah. Especially now as adults, we know that, but we're so invested in the story, you want to see how the outcome is going to be.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, like, with anything, with any, like, TV show, any story ever, like, it wouldn't matter if it's real or not. It wouldn't matter if someone wrote it down or if it was happening in real life. If you're invested in a story, you want to see how it unravels.
Yeah, no, that's a great example. That's how I try to push it with my friends and other people that I try to explain wrestling. I'm like, what's the difference between that and watching Game of Thrones?
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
You know, like every show, like there's a script. There's
everything.
There's a storyline. There's a good guy. There's a bad guy. So it's like with everything. It's like at the end of the day, it's a show. You know?
Just to us, wrestling's the number one show to us.
Yeah, I actually had I posted a TikTok a couple of days ago, and I didn't know how to describe wrestling, so I called it a sport. Mm-hmm. And in the comments, someone was like, oh, it's not a sport, and somebody else was like, yeah, it's not a sport, it's a lifestyle, and someone else was like, no, it's a TV show at best. And then it's like, just because I don't know how you would describe it, you know?
Yeah, no, it's difficult. I mean,
I always say it's like a play, but on steroids. Like, that's where I kind of...
It's action-packed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that.
But I was looking through your Instagram, and there was a video that you posted, and there was a match that you did in EWF. And me and my brother, we've been going to EWF shows since we're like little kids. So when there was a clip of you, I believe, I don't know if it was like a royal, like a battle royal or something, but there was a part where Andy Brown kicks you, and then you're like doing a handstand, and then you like climb your way back to the ring. Like, I was like mind blown when I saw that. I was like, well, what? Like that. This is. I think this is way better the way that Kofi Kingston did it. Like.
Thank you. Yeah, that was my first match at EWF and still my only match at EWF because of the pandemic.
Yes.
Jesse Hernandez, who runs it, he's amazing. He's awesome. He allowed me to be in that battle royal, and he allowed me to shine and allowed me to do that spot, and it got received really well. It was a battle royal, but there was also pins and submissions and over the top. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like he threw me over the ropes, kicked, and then I did the Kofi Kingston handstand spot going around the ring, and then instead of wrapping my legs around the pole and lifting up, I hooked them under the bottom rope and then did a sit up to get up. Awesome. Thank you. And then but yeah, and Andy Brown, he's awesome wrestler. But also a bad guy,
Yeah. But yeah, like with now you're doing, it's like almost every week now you're in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood now, and with now you're also doing a primetime live. Are you still doing indie bookings, or are you just stuck there? Like, how does that work with Championship Wrestling Hollywood? Are you open to going to other places, or are you signed with them?
Yeah, I'm absolutely open to go wherever. Primetime Live, the one match that I had on Primetime Live, actually, that was another one of those incidents where I like to say it all the time that the best ability is availability, and since it's a live show, they were running short on time, so they had to throw in another match. That's why when I had my match there, I didn't have like a graphic, or I didn't have like my own theme music. It was just because they needed to fill 6 to 8 minutes of wrestling. So that's how I got that opportunity to be on that show, and I actually was doing airport runs, like picking up stars from the airport. It was really cool. I got to drive Thunder Rosa. I got to drive Chris Dickinson, Will Allday, a lot of James Storm. Like, I got to pick up these stars from the airport and drive them to the studio where they did the tapings, and that's just another way that I was trying to pay my dues. I'm trying to get in,
No, that's great. You're paying your dues, and also you're getting that chance to even get pick their brain. Is there anything you're learning from these guys, or any questions you're trying to get ahead?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much really specifically comes to my head, but I know that I was just trying to keep a good, healthy conversation going around when I was driving them. Like, I don't remember anything very specifically that was over the top amazing, but I remember like just that it was cool. Like, it was an awesome experience to get to talk to them and pick their brain about some stuff. It's about like just wrestling in general.
No, that's great.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But like with Championship Wrestling Hollywood, it's kind of like the home of like the future stars. Like, everyone, like all wrestlers have been to AEW, gone to AEW, gone to WWE. For you, what does it mean for you to be a part of that show?
Oh, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. It's because I would watch Championship Wrestling from Hollywood since I started training wrestling, and I would watch it every Saturday morning. And it was kind of crazy, actually, when I had my match with Jordan Clearwater, when he came out from his entrance and I was in the ring. It was wild watching his entrance from the ring instead of on like screen. So that was pretty cool. But it means a lot to be in that group, because I know it's not just they don't allow everyone on that show. It's a step up. It's a tangible thing that you can show and say, hey, like, look, I did this. You know, I'm not just messing around doing wrestling just to have fun. You know, like, I'm really in it. You know.
Yeah, and also like when I saw your match with Connors, I think like after the match you were like, I'm coming back. Like I'm like I'll be back. And
Oh yeah.
that was pretty cool. And then like I feel like that's you proven to them you belong in the company in that ring. So that was like really cool when you did that. That was pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I try to keep as much psychology that would make sense, or just whatever feels right. And in that moment, you know, I lost a good fight, and what I would do in that moment is say like, yo, like, I get that I lost, but I want another round, you know, like, let's do it again.
No, and I applaud that also using psychology. It must be difficult, you know, with no audience, but you know, you work it so well, which is, you know, great.
Thank you. I actually think I've had a lot of matches without an audience now. You know, I had a couple at first, and now it's almost seems like it's more normal to have a match without audience, and it's wild.
Yeah. And I just feel like with a young career as yourself, I feel like it's great experience because you're getting experience with wrestling with a crowd and with no crowd, and I feel like it's just gonna make you better as a wrestler.
Yeah, I hope so.
But is there any guys out there that you like, any dream matches? Like, who do you like want to work with?
Pac for sure. Like that's the number one. That's the goal. That because when I first started watching wrestling, I would watch him and think like, hey, like, me and him, we could be the same person. You know, he's probably like 2 inches taller, like longer hair, but as far as physique goes, like, I could be him. Like that's the person that I could be if I do everything right, you know?
Yeah.
So him, Dolph Ziggler would be really cool. Mikey O'Shea from around here, that would be really cool. Anthony Idol, that'd be really cool, you know? These things could happen though, you know? Where else, you know? Well, Kota Ibushi would be awesome, but yeah, so those are dreams. Those would be really cool.
Yeah, especially like with Pac. Oh my gosh, that would be awesome. Like that would be like so cool. But like one thing I like what you did, I think when I saw one of your matches on Hollywood, is that your entrance, you do like a bunch of like backflips. Like,
oh yeah,
like how'd you like come up with that? And then you know
it's different from others, yeah. So how did that come about?
Oh yeah, some of it kind of just came on the fly. You know, I was really excited. It was almost more jitters than pre-planned entrance stuff. You know, like, instead of, it wasn't me running out there and saying, oh, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do this. It was me running out and just being like, oh, I have so much energy right now. I want to just fly around. So I think I like went around the corner, did a little parkour thing over the steps. And then actually at the end though, it's a back roll to the handstand, and I don't really have a way right now to incorporate that into my wrestling arsenal. So I wanted to get it in somehow, and so that was my way of getting it into the through the entrance. If I'm stand on the rope, drop down, and do like the roll to the handstand.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because I'm like, man, I never seen anyone that does that. Like, it's so different and it's so cool. Like, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, because he was watching and I was about to get up and Alex like, no, watch this. I'm like, whoa.
Hell yeah!
And then like also like when I watch wrestlers, like I always predict like that guy's gonna like do something. He's gonna make it. And when I saw you wrestle, I'm like, he's gonna make it. I just see something in him, like with you in the ring and all that. Like I always say, like, oh, he's gonna make it right away. After your first match with Connors, I'm like, he's gonna make it.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, and the really cool thing was that I didn't really know who Clark Connors was until after that match. Like, I looked him up after the match, and I was like, holy crap! Like I was just in the ring with a New Japan like guy, you know.
Yeah.
I just I didn't hear about him before our match together, and I was really happy that he was the guy that I got to have my first match there with.
Yeah, because like me and Rich, we saw him wrestle live at a New Japan show, and when I found out you guys were wrestling, just the chemistry between you guys brought like the best out of each other, which was like really cool to watch.
Thank you.
But also, like, you also played football in college. So were you doing that? Were you doing wrestling and football at the same time, or were you doing it in between seasons?
It was so last spring we would have spring practices, and I wrestled during that time because we would have 4 practices throughout the week. We would have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Saturday mornings. And then I think there was a couple times that right after practice Saturday morning, I booked it to a wrestling show to wrestle. And so during that time, yes. But during fall, during season, I wasn't able to do anything wrestling-wise last year. But this next upcoming year, it seems pretty unlikely that we're going to have a season in Division III for Chapman University at part of the SkyAC conference. It seems they sent out like an official thing saying that it's pretty unlikely for us to have a season.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so yeah, this whole spring I'll still be able to be doing wrestling full time.
Which is good, you know, you have so many outlets, you know, like your gymnastics, wrestling, and your football, so that's good. You could kind of bounce, especially with the pandemic, you could focus, you know, more of wrestling.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's great, too. I was talking to Alex earlier before the show. You have so much great foundation that, you know, goes towards wrestling. You know, you have gymnastics that, you know, are incorporated in your matches. And then you have, you know, football. Football's such a, you know, tough sport. You know, you have to have a great work ethic. And, you know, you're putting that in your matches as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I try to think about that a lot when I have my matches, how it's literally like a story of a football game, you know, like I try to put the same amount of passion. I try to think like, dang, like if I just lost a football game, how would I respond? Like I would be broken. So after like a wrestling match, it's not just like, oh, I lost. It's like, dude, like you lost. Like it should mean a lot, you know? And in football, after like you would make a touchdown, you would celebrate the same way that in wrestling, after you hit a move or something, you got to play to the crowd and make sure that they understand what just happened, you know, like you just got the upper hand, just like in football. And I also actually did a year of amateur wrestling, but I did not enjoy it very much. Like it just wasn't for me. I think I was just too late to join into it. It was my junior year of high school. It was just like super late. You know, came in wrestling a lot of people who've been wrestling for years, and I also lost a bunch of weight throughout the season, so I didn't love that.
No, that's a tough sport. I did a little amateur wrestling myself. It's yeah, I started as a freshman. I still felt like myself. It's a tough sport.
Yeah, like I did it for 1 year and I hated it. I was like, oh, the weight cuts and everything. Yeah,
Yeah, I came in at probably like 175 after my junior year of football, and I left at like 155 right before senior year, and I was just like, no way. Like, that did not just happen, you know?
Oh, yeah, no, that's the only rough part about wrestling, you know. Even I'm starting, when I did it, we have to lose 20 pounds or 15 pounds, which is,
it's horrible.
terrible, yeah.
But recently, you're going to be part of the Young Lions Cup for All Pro Wrestling and Gold Rush Pro Wrestling. What does that mean for you to be part of that tournament?
Oh, it means so much. That tournament's another thing that I have been aware of since I started wrestling. That when Slade won it, when Derek Slade won it, he would bring it to every single show after he won it. He made it his thing, you know. It means a lot that it's not just like the APW or the Gold Rush like trophy. That trophy is recognizable throughout California. So to be in that tournament, it means a lot. And you know, it's a great opportunity for a lot of other young wrestlers too. But I wanted that. Like this tournament, that trophy, that's the pinnacle. You know, because you know we would talk about how in wrestling, you know, like it's predetermined in that type of way that when the promoter like chooses who wins and stuff. But this is different because in a way, the Young Lions Cup is more than just whoever wins. It's whoever wins the Young Lions Cup is seen in a much more real light that they have potential. They have legit potential to do something, you know, because it's like own standalone thing. And if you look back in the past couple of years, like Jeff Cobb has won it, Brody King's won it, Chris Bay won it in 2017. You know, so it's really important. It'll be an awesome show. Also, I'm not sure when it comes out. I think in the next couple of weeks. I want to say maybe even December 18th might be the date, but sometime in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like the names you just listed right now, they end up having such great careers out in wrestling. For you to win that tournament, do you think it's going to open avenues for other promotions to look at you saying, "Hey, I won the Young Lions Cup," for you to use that?
But not even that, just being invited also.
Absolutely, yeah. If I won, like, it would mean a lot. It would be my first like thing, you know. I've been wrestling for 2 years, and I think when I jotted it down, I had 11 title matches, and I haven't won any. So it's like I'm more desperate than a lot of other competitors in a way. That there's some other competitors in the tournament who have belts, and they've had those huge victories, and I'm yet to have that one thing that I can tangibly say, like, hey, I did this, you know. So hopefully the Young Lions Cup will be that.
I believe so. You know, now we're really looking forward to that, so which is great.
Yeah.
But
Thank you. Do you know any other competitors? Like who else from the Cup are you guys looking forward to watching?
I'm not sure. What do you think of?
I mean, because like I don't know, because I don't know if the promotions have they released the list of wrestlers, like the whole complete of the bracket.
I think on Gold Rush's Instagram they posted like a good amount of them. I don't know if it's all of them though.
Yeah, but have they announced your matches? Like, do you know who you're gonna face in the first match?
No, actually, no, not yet.
Okay.
I think that they're just gonna. It'll be all in one day, and they'll post it. You know, I think something like that.
Okay, because like there's a few names that list, like Honest John is in the tournament. We've seen him.
Oh yeah.
A couple of guys from EWF. Awesome. Yeah, Wicked. You know, we've seen him. So.
Oh yeah.
So in Vinny Wasco, we've seen him. So it's a cool tournament, and then you're in it too. So it's like it's gonna be it's a cup of prospects pretty much, which is exciting to watch because you're getting the best guys, up and comers wrestling in the tournament, which is pretty cool.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I believe you're doing all the right things, you know, to be in this tournament. Also, that means they have an eye on you. And
how does that feel? Yeah. Like, how does it feel? Like you have all these guys, like there's people scouting you. Like, how does that make you feel?
I love it. I like it a lot. It's that idea that no matter who, if you're wrestling in front of 10 people or 100 people or 200 people, you want to put on a good show because you never know who's watching, and you never know when something important's going to happen or someone important's going to watch it. And when I think I got booked for a show because I happened to be the YouTube video that popped up after the YouTube video of the guy that he was supposed to be watching. So,
oh, wow.
So a promoter was watching someone's YouTube video, and then the next video was one of my matches, and he ended up contacting me because of that next video that ended up popping up on YouTube.
Oh,
So it's really cool to be scouted, and even me, I'm sending out emails, I'm sending out Facebook messages to other promotions to like get them to scout me. You know, if they're not gonna look at me, I'm gonna send them my stuff and say, hey, like, if you guys aren't interested, that's totally cool, but here's my stuff. Let me know when your next show is. I'll show up and help out. You know, do whatever I can to get on in that way. So, yeah.
especially with social media. Like, I know you have a YouTube channel where you put all your matches and vlogs. It's just crazy to see like so many wrestlers like Sammy Guevara, Ethan Page. They have vlogs, and with social media, they're getting offers from other companies. So social media is it's crazy to even say, but like social media is such a tool for you to get bookings, which like years ago you couldn't do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, social media is weird in the way that somehow it seems like with followers you're seen as more legit. Like, when I would find out of a different wrestler for the first time, the first thing I do is look up their social medias, and if they don't have a lot of followers, I'll kind of automatically say like, okay, so they're not as well known, or like maybe they're new, or maybe they're not that great. But that has nothing to do with the type of actual product that they're able to give. You know, it's so wild that it could be perceived as that. You know, like, I forgot which wrestler it was, but there's some amazing wrestler who is really good and could be on TV and could get signed wherever. But when you look at his social media, he has like a couple hundred followers. So it's
Yeah.
wild that then when there's other wrestlers who aren't great, but they're let's say they're really attractive, they'd have thousands of followers, but like aren't that great of actual wrestlers.
And do you think promoters see mostly what their followers is instead of how they're like how good of a wrestler the talent? You think that's?
Ooh, I don't know. That's a good concept. I'm not sure how I'm sure every promoter is different. You know how they would weigh that, but you know if you're gonna sell like 100 tickets because you have 10,000 followers on Instagram and 10,000 people saw the ad for the show, like, the promoter, like, that, even if you want the best wrestler, the promoter can't deny the fact that you're going to bring in 100 people, you know?
Yeah,
so it's weird that plays a factor in who's getting what bookings.
I agree, because I feel like a promoter's main goal is to just bring as much money as they can, so they'll grab the best wrestler with the most following or the most followers on Instagram or Twitter. So it's just crazy that instead of what they could do in the ring, it's what they could bring with them. Yeah, with the social media, which is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the craziest thing is like you're 19, correct? I just wanted to make sure.
I'm 20 now.
20 now.
But yeah, I was 19 at the time.
Okay. But it's just crazy. Like, you're only 20 years old, and the things you've already accomplished, or you're wrestling on TV now. Like, it's just crazy. It's exciting for me to see what's the future for you. Like, I'm excited for it. Like, it's just crazy. Like, it's really it's fun to be for the ride, to see where your career goes from here.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a process, you know. It's I like to think that it's not a journey or an adventure as much as it's a dance. You know, if it's a journey or an adventure, that would mean that I'm doing everything to get to a certain spot and then it's over. But it's not like that. It's hopefully more like a dance where the process of doing the dance is the dance itself, and that's the beauty of it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, sorry, it's like a weird concept.
No, I get it.
I don't really know how to explain it. But does that make sense though? You know, yeah. Like, it's not like, it's less like it is the journey, but if it was a journey, that means that once you're at a destination, it's over. Instead, I feel like it's more like a dance, because when you're dancing, that's what you're doing, you know, to be there in the moment. And being able to, when I'm having matches, that's the thing that I'm focusing on, you know.
No, it totally makes sense.
Okay, cool.
But I just wanted to close. We're gonna close the show pretty soon, but I want to ask you one more question.
Absolutely.
So with your style and the wrestlers you were mentioning earlier, like Dolph Ziggler and Pac, it seems more, you know, the people are calling out, or your style, it would go hand in hand with New Japan. If you had a choice right now with New Japan, and the great thing about wrestling now, there's so many companies, so you could, you know, jump around AEW, Impact, WWE, but if New Japan, they push that style wrestling. They want the more athletic or the more skillful wrestlers. And WWE is great. It's a great outlet also, but it's so flooded. They have so many talented wrestlers. I mean, they have like a roster of 200 people, and you only get to see, you know, 20 a week.
Yeah.
If that.
Yeah.
So with that being said, where would you want to go if you did get an offer right now between, let's say, Impact, AEW, WWE, and New Japan?
Right now, I think I would say New Japan, because, or it would be, yeah, I guess it would be New Japan. I really love Japan, and it's some place that I always wanted to visit. Like, that's been something since I was a little kid that I would love to visit New Japan, or I would love to visit Japan. So, and since I'm young, you know, I would want to be able to build up my name before joining a bigger company, as in like AEW or WWE, you know, as when AJ Styles built his name up first and then joined WWE. So he didn't have to do all the NXT stuff. He was straight into the main roster, you know. Same with Timothy Thatcher and Jake Atlas. They built big enough names for themselves that they weren't on the waiting list at the WWE Performance Center for months or years before they were able to actually do something. So right now I wouldn't want to jump straight into Performance Center stuff, or, I mean, these are all hypotheticals, you know, like if something actually happened, I don't know how I would actually respond, but thinking right now, going to Japan and being around that in the country and living the life as a pro wrestler and making a name for myself, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think anywhere you go, I think you'll be a superstar for sure. Either if it's New Japan or Impact or WWE, I think wherever you go, I think you're going to be successful.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That means a lot.
So for now, do you want to plug in anything, any bookings coming up or social media?
Yeah, make sure you guys watch the 2020 Young Lions Cup. APW and Gold Rush Wrestling should be posting it sometime in the next couple weeks. Also, my Instagram's at Jack Cartwheel, and my Twitter's also at Jack Cartwheel. My TikTok is also at Jack Cartwheel, but I think it might be Jack Cartwheel 1. I'm not sure. Facebook is Jack Cartwright, and I guess that's about it. Awesome.
So I just want to say again, thank you so much for taking the time to be with on the podcast. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me.
All right. So I guess we'll end it right here on Championship on the Line podcast. I'm Alex.
I'm Richard.
And we'll see you guys on next time on Championship on the Line pod.
Thank you guys. Take care.